Hi, this is Thalia Zedek, and you're listening to the Literati podcast.
Won't you help me and heal your body? Won't you give me some kind of sign? I've been waiting for your saving, and I can't help it if I get tired. It's been so long now since you've been strong, and everybody wants you to try. I'm just waiting for your saving. Can you help me pass the time? 'Cause everybody wants the same things, and it's not easy to get up again when you fall. You gotta crawl. If you're not with me, then you're against me. Why can't you see any other side? There's some good guys, and there's some bad girls, and in between lives, most everyone else, and there's nobody who stands completely alone in this world. So make sure that you choose well. Can you tell? Choose well.
Welcome once again to the Literati Records podcast. Marcus here, and this is episode 12. I had the honor last week of sitting down with Thalia Zedek, who was in town playing a show with Lowe at the Larimer Lounge. But before we get to our interview, we have a couple of housekeeping items. First, I want to thank everyone for the great positive feedback we got on our debut episode of Local Mix Monday. Thanks to all the artists that participated as well. We'll have another episode for you next week. Also, if you have not yet signed up for our email list, now is a good time to do so. We will be giving away an autographed copy of Thalia Zedek's latest album, Via, which you will hear more about in today's episode. We will draw the winner on May 1st and announce the winner during the first episode in May. You can sign up for our email list by visiting www.literatirecords.com and clicking the Get Show Notices link. You will also find the complete track listing for today's episode there as well. Let's get into our feature interview. Welcome to the show. My guest today is Thalia Zedek, whose new album Via is out on Thrill Jockey Records. Welcome to the show, Thalia.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the release of Via. It's an excellent album, and I'm really enjoying it. I'd like to talk a bit about that album.
Okay.
Now, the album opens with a track titled Walk Away, and the lines, "Did you ever come to find what you thought that you had lost was right where you left it? The future doesn't change the past." The rest of the album seems to support that sentiment. Would you say Via speaks to a certain shedding of baggage or feeling of emergence from a heavier period of your life?
Yeah, I think so. It had been a few years between my previous record and Via, and I feel like, some stuff had changed in that time, and in terms of comparisons to Been Here and Gone, I was definitely in a different place. So it's kind of talking about different things, less angry, I think, kind of in a way. Yeah.
A little more at peace, maybe, in a certain way.
Yeah.
Another lyric that really caught my ear is from In This World. "If you're not with me, then you're against me. Why can't you see any other side? There's some good guys, and there's some bad girls, and in between lies most everyone else. And there's nobody who stands completely alone in this world, so make sure that you choose well." Again, this sounds like an affirmation of your own strength and a shedding off of those that would prefer to hold you down. Would you say that's true?
In that song, I'm kind of talking to someone in particular. It's like someone kind of like, a friend that's like, say, like really stubborn and just kind of making bad decisions, and instead of kind of like taking their friends, trusting that their friends have their best interest in heart. Sometimes like when you're like, this person's terrible, and they'll be like, F you, like...
You don't know that.
Right,
Yeah.
like that, which I think, we've all been there, and so I think it's more kind of speaking to like maybe like sort of situation with trying to help someone, but it's not always so easy to do.
Sure. Now, the production and the musicianship on the album are outstanding. Can you give us a breakdown of who was involved in the recording of the album?
Yeah, well, it was produced and mixed by an engineer, by Andrew Schneider, who I think is really like a genius. Really kind of unsung, but he's worked on a lot of records for a lot of people. He's pretty much sticks to just indie stuff, but he could do anything. He was like nominated for a Grammy in the work that he did with the Blue Man Group. But he works with all different kinds of musicians, and used to be a Boston guy, and that's kind of how I know him. And he did a lot of work with a lot of friends of mine. And then first time I worked with him was for the last record, Liars and Prayers, and I thought he was just amazing. And same thing with this. We definitely recorded under not necessarily the most optimal conditions, and he's just one of those people that can really he knows how to make things sound good. So definitely putting a lot of credit to his feet. And then of course, like the guys that I play with are amazing. Dave Bryson was the drummer on this one. He also plays with Sunvolt, and he actually moved to Buenos Aires, him and his family, for job reasons having to do with other stuff, and so he's not in the band anymore. But he was in Boston for 2 years for his wife's schooling, and I was looking for a drummer at the time, and my piano player Mel had known him from the work that he'd done in a DC band called Canyon, so he played drums, which I think. My previous drummer that I played with for like 14 years was Daniel Coughlin. He was an amazing drummer, but I think Bryson had a different way of playing that kind of opened things up a little bit. He's a much simpler type of drummer, so I think that contributed a lot to like the arrangement of the songs. And then David Michael Curry, and he's been with me for a while, and he's great and just keeps getting better and better. And then Mel Letterman, who played piano, has played on all my records. First like 3 records, he would just play on like a few songs, or maybe half the songs, and he didn't really tour with us live because he had his own band going at the time. And then when they broke up for the last like say 4 or 5 years, he's been playing with me sort of more full time. So the piano has become a bigger part of the sound now.
Sure.
And then at the same time, Mel joined sort of full time. So did Winston Brayman on the bass.
Well, this album was released as the Thalia Zedek Band, as opposed to under your other albums. They were just under your name.
I think actually I think the last one was too, wasn't it? Liars and Prayers? I could be wrong, but
I could be wrong.
I think I could check on that, actually.
It just feels like there's a synergy on this album between
Yeah.
you and the band that,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's like, you know, they're a huge part of it, and just to put it under your own name might, well, I don't want to say downplay their role, but you sort of want to, like, maybe lift them up and say, this is definitely a group effort. They bring out the best in what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, there's some real rockers on this album. Straight and Strong comes to mind, and Go Home. What's it been like taking the Via material on the road? It sounds like it would be fun to play on stage.
Yeah, it's been really fun so far. I mean, we just kind of started with that, so, and it's like we did a residency in Boston for the month of March, where we played every Monday night, and every Monday we did a different record of ours, and so starting with Been Here and Gone, and then kind of like ending with Via, and then we kind of went on the road. So we're just starting out. This is actually only like the third show. We played in we played fourth, really. Played in Boston and Philly and New York and Philly, and then we flew out here yesterday to start the tour with Low. So yeah, I'm really excited about tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good show.
So the stuff we're doing tonight on the Low tour is going to be a bit more stripped down. Like it's not going to be no bass and drums, and it's going to be kind of a little bit different.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing that. Now, I'm very excited about the re-release of Comes 11/11. It really gives it a chance to connect with a whole new audience. How did that come about?
Well, it came about, there was a label in Germany called Glitter House, and they had actually put out the first Come single, like way back in the early 90s, and they're still like a label, still doing stuff to this day, and they had expressed interest to us a few years back, actually, about wanting to re-release 11/11, or reissue it, I should say, because it had gone out of print. And we all really liked the idea, because, you know, we felt like it should be in print and should be, you know, available for people. And we had a few legal hurdles to sort of get over. There was a little bit of one of the record labels that had put it out, Beggar's Banquet, was sort of contesting whether or not we had the rights to it for a while, and so we finally, after a few years, they weren't able to like produce the contract. We were just like, well, we're going ahead with this, you know, like, so we just kind of put the ball into motion and on that, and then we were just going to do it in Europe, and then Matador actually became interested in reissuing it in the States, so, which is great. So it just kind of came about. So it had been kind of like something that had been sort of on the back burner and kept getting put off, and we wanted to have it out for like 2011, like have a release date like 11/11,
Exactly.
you know, but we just couldn't get it together because of this sort of like the legal stuff, and finally, you know, we were able to sort of push everything through, and yeah.
The less fun part of rock and roll, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really like we were not, like, there were no lawyers involved or anything. It was just kind of like a lot of people saying they're going to do something and then not doing it,
Gotcha.
and the months going by, and, you know, that kind of stuff. So
Will Come be hitting the road this year to support that
we
release?
will, actually. We're going to do like a bunch of shows in Europe, like about 3 weeks in Europe, some festival dates, and some other stuff in between, and we're doing some shows in the States too. Like, not a whole lot. We're going to be playing some shows on the East Coast, a few shows on the East Coast, like I think a Chicago show, and a bunch of shows on the West Coast, which I'm being kind of cagey about it because we were asked not to announce them until tomorrow, but
Oh, gotcha.
April
Okay,
1st, but,
sure.
But anyway, I can't tell you that unfortunately we will not be coming to Denver, but, you know, but who knows, you know, we
happens.
see how it goes, and maybe we'll end up coming back, but just for
Second
now,
leg of the tour, maybe, or something.
yeah, for now we're kind of keeping it sort of short and just see what happens.
Well, Via is a great album. It's amongst the strongest that I've heard so far in 2013, and I recommend that everyone pick it up. So all of our listeners, get down to Twist and Shout and pick up Thalia's new album. It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving us a chance to discuss it with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Have a great show tonight.
Thank you very much.
it's not right to make me wait, because I got no patience. I start to I started drinking.